Hi, I'm Joan Cartan Hansen. Thank you for joining us for this Dialogue Web Extra. We're continuing our discussion about the STEM roadmap here in Idaho. Let me ask a little bit about teaching science and math. Is it different from teaching English? Is it different from teaching social studies?
It doesn't need to be different. I think that all of those things can work together, and I think that's one of the things that STEM really focuses on is breaking down the silos between subject areas, and not just science, technology, engineering, and math, but language arts and arts. How can you integrate science, math, technology in all of those areas? And there are lots of models that show us how to do that. And so the STEM movement is in part, how do you break down those silos and teach across the disciplines?
Is that what you're finding, that we need to think of teaching math and science holistically?
I think there are ways to integrate the disciplines. However, I do think it's important that students have the opportunity to use tools that scientists and mathematicians use. So it may be that there are some differences among the disciplines as to the tools. And as you move through the STEM pipeline, the tools that one would have access to in high school, in physics or in chemistry, would be different than the tools that one would need in the third grade. But I think it's important for students to be able to actually mix things together and see what happens. And so maybe there's some parallels to mixing things together when you're writing in English and getting really excited about what you're doing. But I do think that we have to invest in materials and supplies that students can use to explore.
And how do we do that with the current funding situation in Idaho's school system? There's some pretty tight budgets around out there.
There are tight budgets, and again, I think it's looking at what are the resources and how do you allocate them. But I totally agree. I think that when you go into some schools, you see science labs that probably haven't been updated for 20, 30 years, if ever.
They have one, yeah.
And so that is a real issue. And there is a real difference in the tools and the cost of the tools that are used, especially in science and in the technology classes. There are classrooms where they need power tools, they need all of those kinds of things, and of course those are going to cost more. And so I think that is a funding issue that we need to seriously consider.
How is technology changing the way we teach STEM classes?
Well, and first of all, I want to give kudos to Idaho because it looks like you are becoming very, very well networked, and really you are investing in this on behalf of your students. So that's very exciting. And access on the web to all sorts of information that and simulations and visualizations and manipulations that students can do allows them a much broader range of things that they can investigate. So it's not limited to what's right there in the classroom. So that's a very exciting thing. And again, I'm going to say they can contribute as citizen scientists by collecting data on water quality, on temperature, on rainfall, on all sorts of dimensions that scientists need to know about what's happening in Idaho, to link it to what's happening in other parts of the globe, to understand what's going on. So they have an opportunity to be part of science.
It's like the butterfly count that's coming up is a great example for citizen scientists.
Yes.
In college, though, their teaching challenges are different. If you're teaching science and math at the college level, what are we going to do to help those teachers, those professors, those assistant professors, and those TAs?
Sure. I think that at the college level, a big piece of that is, again, attracting and retaining faculty who are top notch, and we know that that is a challenge. But I think that again, the faculty that you have, whether it's a graduate assistant or a professor, has to be very integral in keeping those students engaged and giving them the kinds of experiences that will keep them in that pipeline and not see them drop out.
And one of the things that we fund at the National Science Foundation in the Division of Undergraduate Education where I worked is called Transforming Undergraduate Education in STEM. And it is particularly intended for college faculty that want to change the way they are teaching undergraduate education. And so I know that there are grants within the state. There are other opportunities for grants because we see a national imperative to change what's happening in undergraduate education in STEM.
And before we go any further, I want to make sure you have a chance to clarify your title.
Right.
I have you listed in the program as a program director for the National Science Foundation, which is accurate, but the division is different.
It's the Division of Undergraduate Education. One of the programs I work in is the Math and Science Partnership. I also work with teacher scholarships in what's called the NOISE program, and in the Transforming Undergraduate Education in STEM, which we call TWOS. I work particularly in the biological area of that program.
And let me ask you about STEM. Now, obviously, we've done a few programs here in Dialogue about STEM, the science, technology, engineering, mathematics, but it's a term some people may not have run across before, but something they're going to hear a lot of.
They're going to hear a lot about it, and I think we've been hearing more over the last few years. And we talk a lot about science and math, and I want to make sure we're not leaving out the technology and the engineering, because those are the application pieces of the science and math. And so those are really critical. Those are also the pieces where you're going to attract students who maybe aren't going to become a PhD researcher. Those are students who may be more apt to go to a community college or a professional technical school, but they're still going to work in the STEM realm. And so the technology and engineering piece of STEM is key as well.
And it is. And the job market for STEM technology is exactly where America's future is going. That's where the jobs of the next wave are going to be.
Absolutely. And what all of the reports show is that almost every career choice is going to require mathematics and science or engineering and certainly understandings of technology, and that students that have less than even 1 year of college are going to earn much less than others. And engineering is one of those areas that has typically not played out as much at the elementary and middle school and high school level. And yet design and the applications of math and science is one place engineering really helps us to make it really accessible. So we're very excited that engineering, along with technology, is starting to find its place at the K-12 level, along with higher education.
Now, the new science standards, Common Core science standards, are going to be released the Friday the 11th, May 11th.
Yes.
How big a difference are we going to see in teaching science after the standards are going to be set? Any clue?
Well, I think you're going to see things where in outstanding classrooms across this state, where science teachers have been doing incredible things in school and after school, for which they're often not compensated and sometimes don't garner the kind of thanks that we all owe them for the kinds of things they do with students doing robotics competitions and science fair competitions, etc. In those teachers' classrooms, I think that those teachers will see these are the kinds of things I've been trying to do all along. For some other teachers, I think that there will be some recalibration. I think that whenever we do something that's new, providing teachers with the professional development support to implement those new things is important. So it's not only important for alignment that will occur with the state at the state level, but also to be looking for the professional development mechanisms to support teachers in implementing these well, because every single teacher wants to do an outstanding job. That's why they're there. They love these kids.
And we've run out of time. Anything you quickly want to finish with?
I just quickly wanted to say that Department of Labor just ran some numbers for us, and they estimate that in the next 10 years there will be more than 40,000 jobs in Idaho alone that require STEM background.
So for my children who are heading toward college, let's listen to that. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, Kathleen. I appreciate Marilyn. I appreciate you both being here. And thank you for joining us for this Dialogue Web Extra.